Right, we are underway. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome to our Teach in Australia webinar. We are going to be covering everything you need to know about teaching in Australia tonight. We've got a couple of consultants joining us from the Australian team, and we will have a chat box running as well. You will have time at the end where you can sort of ask as many questions as you want, but if you want to, you can also chuck a few things on chat as we go. So to kick off with introductions, I'm Claire, and I am a New Zealand trained primary teacher. I'm based in Auckland, and my experience of teaching overseas is living and working in London. When I came back, I've been supporting educators travelling globally and love helping educators making the move to Australia. There's so many good reasons to be over there, and we've got an amazing team. So on the call, I'll pass over to Sid.
Wicked. Cheers, Claire. So my name's Sid. I'm one of the permanent opportunities consultants here in Sydney. I'm a UK trained history and English teacher, so spent 3 years teaching over in England before relocating to Sydney. I spent the last 3 years supporting educators in Sydney secure their next great position.
Awesome. Laura in Melbourne. Sorry.
Okay. I'm Laura. I'm based in Melbourne. I've been working with ANZUK UK for 2 years, and my role is basically helping CRTs just to get registered with us and go out and work in various different settings.
Great. Okay, cool. So tonight we'll be just talking to you a little about who we are, and then the steps in your journey. So we'll cover what you need to do to be able to teach in Australia, where we can support you in terms of locations and types of work, and then the compliance side of things, so going through the registration and what happens once you get over there.
Cool. So a little bit a little bit about ANZUK UK. We're a global recruitment business. We've got 29 offices across Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and in the US. Over the past 16 years, we've supported educators moving globally, and we look to offer that 360 support that I think really comes from having offices on the ground in all these locations. So for those of you that are looking to make the journey over to Australia, that I imagine some of you are, you both have people like myself up here in New South Wales, Laura down in Melbourne, but we've also got teams in Queensland, in WA, and recently opened in South Australia as well. So we're able to offer not just, I suppose, the start of the journey, but assisting you when you arrive also.
And good to have on your radar the UK offices as well. So a lot of our educators will head to Australia, get a bit of money behind them. It's a bit easier to save over there and then move on and do your UK OE as well. So we can sort of really take you around the world on the way. So just a little bit about us. So we are an education recruitment company. We're a free service to educators. We're not really used to working through agencies here in New Zealand, but so I'm just letting people in as we go. We operate, we're a service provider to schools, and in some cases the governments will contract us out for support finding educators. So there is no cost or you call it buy to us on your side of things. So our whole goal is to support you in finding work, and if we can't, then if you find something else, there's no commitments to us. So our values are be great, and our purpose is creating exceptional experiences for educators and students. So we want to support our schools as best we can, but it's also making sure that our educators are having the best time possible as well. And our promise is right educator, right place, right time. Is that right? So you can see it because I've got the video on top of it. But we do live and breathe these values, and we are they're sort of embedded in the company, and it's a really great place to work because of that, and you'll see that comes across in everything we do. So reasons to go overseas. Obviously the excitement of stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something a bit different, you know, giving your life a bit of a shake up, taking a different pathway. People, you know, we're not that different culturally from Australia, but going and living somewhere like Melbourne or Sydney is hugely different. Even if you've been living in Auckland all your life, you know, they're much, much bigger, more global cities than Auckland. Yeah, very different experience, and just a lot more going on. You'll also find having any overseas teaching experience on your CV is really beneficial. So principals really, it's really appealing to principals, any other curriculum experience that you've had. And it can be a really nice stepping stone into the international school sector, or going on to the teaching in the UK as well. Or even when you're coming back to New Zealand, it's something that makes you stand out from other educators. And then obviously just making friends from all over the world. So even if you were just thinking, oh, I'm just going to go to Melbourne, you know, I'm just going to meet Australians, you'll meet a whole bunch of other expats living in those cities. We have a huge amount of Irish and Canadian educators from England there as well. So you'll actually feel like you could be anywhere in the world. And we're really big on creating community and giving you those opportunities to meet lots of other people as well. I've just put this in here. You'll get in our info pack after you've had an initial chat with us, but just highlighting it's a really good resource, and there's heaps of information in there. It's interactive, so you can click out on all of these links and they will take you to where you want to go. What I should have done earlier on is if we could just get you to pop in the chat box where you're tuning in from. I was just going to talk about visas coming up, but it would help if we knew if we've got educators just from New Zealand, or have we got, if you could just tell us where you're tuning in from in the chat box. Okay, cool. So we've got someone from the States. I'm not sure where you can see Sid and Laura in the chat box, just so we can see who we're chatting to. Oh, yeah. So just while some other people are still chatting, from the US, there are, this will be a really good resource for you, and you'll be able to sort of click out on the links. You'll be looking to get a working holiday visa. So that will be one of your starting points. It looks like everyone else is a Kiwi. It's Megan. Hi, Megan. Okay. Yeah. So, So Caitlin, I'll follow up with you after this. We've just actually got a couple of new ones coming in as well, and talk to you about the visa side of things. But yeah, this has got everything you sort of need to know. Links out to the term dates. Again, if you're not from the Southern Hemisphere, this is a really useful document for that. And it's also got links on some of our guides, and we'll talk to you a little bit more about that down the road. And our blog is also a really big resource as well, and that's where we've got some of our really great where to live guides and things as well. Welcome to those last few people have just jumped in. So you haven't missed anything really. So we're just kicking off important things, what you need to know to be able to teach in Australia. So the very first thing is you need to have the right to work in Australia. If you're a New Zealand passport holder, then you gain immediate permanent residency when you enter Australia, so that you don't need to do anything. That means you've got all the same rights as an Australian, except that you can't vote and you can't access the benefit or anything like that. But you've got access to their Medicare system. We start getting the superannuation contributions into your pay straight away. So New Zealand passport holder, super easy. If you're on another passport, Caitlin, for example, you'll need to look at applying for a working holiday visa, and it's actually a really good process with Australia. They only take about a week, so it's a really positive process to go through. I don't know whether we've got anyone else, just I let a few people in late. If there's anyone else who is on a different passport, just let me know, but we'll support you around that. The next thing you need to know, we've got someone from Ireland on. Yeah, so Amy, that'll be a working holiday visa for you as well. And we've got our team on that side of the world who will be able to support you with that visa application as well. So that's your first step. Okay, and we've got someone from Germany as well. So do you know much about that? Probably can get a working holiday visa also.
Yeah. So
Oh.
Yeah, you can, basically, in terms of if you're still within the age demographic, then you can.
Yes,
yeah,
you need
so I would have to apply for the normal work and holiday visa.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you're under 35.
Oh yeah. Because I always thought the limit is for 30, unless you're from England or whatsoever. Was that different because of the permanent residency?
We'll have a look
question.
at that for you, Natalie, at the end.
Yeah, I will double check that for Joe, because you're right. I know it's changed recently for UK
Yeah,
citizens,
one of them's...
so I'll double check that.
Thank you.
So qualifications-wise, Australia have a 4-year degree. So if you've done a graduate diploma, I've just got a few other late ones popping in. If you've done a graduate diploma in New Zealand, you are qualified to teach in Australia. So that's fine. If you've done a bachelor in New Zealand, they deem that as a 3-year degree. However, we do have a Trans-Tasman Mutual Recognition Agreement in place. So that supersedes your qualification. So if you're registered as a teacher here in New Zealand, you will be able to be registered as a teacher in Australia. You still have to go through the process of registering with the relevant state, which we'll cover, but yeah, it's mutual, so will be recognised. Have we got any early childhood educators on?
Yeah, I am. I'm not registered yet in New Zealand, but I'm in the process. So I have my ANZUK QA qualification level 7, and now I'm getting the process of getting registration as well. Okay,
so early childhood educators do need to go through an extra step, which is called a CEQA, and I'll give you the extra information on that. So there is one extra stage for ECE educators, but primary and secondary, it's really just a matter of starting your registration with the relevant state that you want to go to. And in Australia, obviously, each state has their own government body, so they do things their own way. So each state has their own registration, so you can't just transfer it across. And the Australian curriculum is really closely aligned to New Zealand curriculum as well, particularly for primary. They're doing things like structured literacy and Singapore math. Schools are implementing all those sorts of things that we do. In Australia, the secondary system's a bit different, but I'll let the Aussie team cover that when we hook into it. So registering in Vic, we'll let Laura do this one because she's sitting in Vic right now. So I'll pass over to you, Laura.
Thank you. So yeah, as Claire mentioned, the registration with Victoria is different to other states just because we have the VIT here, that's the Victorian Institute of Teachers. So you guys just need to apply. That can be done before your arrival, so you can start applying. That takes a while because you need to submit a few documents. So you just like qualifications, experience, I think some references as well, but we can give you guys like the link for the VIT so you can just read through that. Then for registering with us, with ANZUK UK, so once you have your VIT registration, you just come into the office. We have a few other documents that you need to provide, but that's like ID forms, like some certificates that the state needs, and then you will be all good to go. So I would say the main part, and like if you want to move over, the first thing is just getting on the VIT website, just checking what are the requirements you need, and then yeah, just sign like the process for that application.
Oh, thanks, Laura. One of our educators was just saying they have trouble. Lots of Kiwis have trouble with this under the ID section. It's a common problem. We've got a VIT guide under our blog, and that sort of helps you. But otherwise, just get in touch, and I'll send through what the accepted documents are for that.
Cheers, Claire. So for those of you looking to head to New South Wales, you have to apply through the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, otherwise known as NESA. Slightly different to the VIT and can only be done upon arrival into New South Wales. So yeah, it has to be done when you're on the ground and you go into one of the NESA authorities with your documentation. So what you would need is your New Zealand teacher registration, and it's really simple to be able to get that transitioned over. Also, to start teaching within a New South Wales school, you require your working with children check that again has to be applied when you arrive, but it only takes, mine came where I had to get mine updated the other day and it took 2 hours to come back from being sorted out. So whilst it says 2 to 5 days, they usually come through a lot quicker, and you can get that done at any of the Service New South Wales stations across New South Wales, whether you're in Sydney or further afield. NESA can, so where it says 2 to 4 weeks, at the moment we're seeing, so from chatting to the temp guys before coming in and doing this presentation, that it's usually somewhere closer to the 2 weeks at the moment. It does fluctuate depending on the amount of people they have coming over. So because NESA don't just cover obviously Kiwi educators, it's educators coming from all over, it can be dependent on just sheer volume, but give yourself 2 to 4 weeks to be absolutely sure that you can then start teaching after that. So the DET registration to teach in state schools, that's a lot quicker, so that takes 5 days. So if you were to sign up with us as a company, whilst your NESA registration is being undertaken, if you apply for your DET number, that will still allow you to start working casually at some of our state schools as well. So you'll definitely have the option there. If you're looking for longer term opportunities, we can still put you forward for roles prior to your arrival, and we can start setting up interviews, whether it be similar to this over Zoom or over Microsoft Teams. So we have had Kiwi educators quite recently who are looking to come over in January, but have been able to secure themselves roles prior to arriving. So just for that peace of mind, especially for those similarly sought after subjects, so your STEM subjects, any of your science, your technology, engineering, mathematics. But at the moment, to be honest, because schools are looking for the new academic year, they're looking for any of your particular subjects. We can look to set you up an interview at a certain school, so you've got that secured before you arrive.
Thanks, Sid. And then there's Queensland. So Queensland, you can do before you arrive. It's actually you have to post your documents over to them. Sounds really old-fashioned and a bit slow, but they're actually quite efficient, and most of the applications at the moment are coming back within 2 to 4 weeks. It's a bit more expensive than the other states. It's $300 and then $100 annually. We don't have an online blog with them because they've got this really good blog guide under their site. So we've just covered those three. As Sid mentioned earlier, we do have offices in WA and SA as well. WA is really, really easy to apply for, and SA, that's a new location for us, so I haven't had experience of any educators going through that teacher body yet. I'll back over to you, Laura.
Thank you. So for Victoria, we have 4 offices in Melbourne, or like 3 offices in Melbourne and 1 in Geelong, and we do CRT, so that's casual relief teacher, but we also have permanent opportunities here as well in Victoria. Similar to what Sid mentioned, you don't need to have a VIT to apply for those ongoing or permanent roles. We can put you forward and start like helping you with those applications while you are completing the registration process for your VIT. We work in all areas across Melbourne and regional Victoria. So we can, definitely help you if you want to look in like regional parts. If you want to come in a city, we can, we work with, I think 70% of the schools in Victoria. So there will be a lot of opportunities here. If you have a lot of experience in education and you're looking for like leadership roles as well, we have a different division that can help with that. We work very closely with the Department of Education, so we know of like the incentives and programs that they have. So we can, help you with that as well. And we have like many different events with our educators. So if you come down, there will be events every term. So we're very, very big on that social aspect as well, and that community, as Claire mentioned. So you can, meet other educators and have a good time here.
Laura, it's a bit of a funny because all of our offices are looking quite tiny, but I wanted to include the whole state just to show that we do cover the entire state. And actually this is the border here, and then there's New South Wales, and we've got a couple of educators going to Wagga Wagga in January as well. We have a Catholic Education Diocese of Wagga Wagga that come over and visit and face-to-face interview here in New Zealand. But I've had educators going all the way up here on the border, so wherever you want. And we've got a role at a really nice school. It's behind us, sort of up on the coast up here as well at the moment. In New South Wales, or it must be I must have done this order. Okay. So Queensland, again, we do cover the whole state. I just have to keep moving us around. We've got the office in Brisbane, but we do pick up quite a bit of work running up the coast here as well as inland northern Queensland. The Queensland office is mainly supporting ECE educators, and for ECE they can support with daily relief, contract roles and permanent work. So whatever ECE is wanting, we will be able to help you in the Queensland and Brisbane area. If you're a primary educator, it's a really competitive place to go, and we really haven't had success with primary educators recently in Brisbane, Gold Coast or the Sunshine Coast. It's really hard area to get into from this side. So you need to be sort of more prepared to get over there and get your foot in the door. Sorry, I need to do more. For secondary educators, we are better, and so we can sort of look for you for roles wherever you want to go. Primary, you really need to be looking at sort of more regional Queensland if that's where you want to go. And unfortunately, we don't support relief work for primary or secondary in Queensland at all. So it's more of a permanent placement place for primary, secondary, ECE, anywhere.
Brilliant. Thanks, Claire. I just wanted to, I suppose, touch upon the areas that we cover here in New South Wales. So I suppose similar to Melbourne, our offices are based centrally in the major city, but we do cover the entire state. So I'm based here in Sydney in our Surrey Hills office, which is very, very central, but we cover in terms of the roles we work on across the whole state. So I focus predominantly on permanent roles that are in Sydney and the Greater Sydney region. But my colleagues Mitch and Charlene, so Mitch is based out in Tamworth and Charlene's in Dubbo, and they cover roles all across the New South Wales state. So if you're looking for something where you want that real Aussie experience out bush, they can cover as many of those roles as possible, going as far as Dubbo up to Kanumbai, across to Little Topa. We kind of cover the whole state in that regard. I suppose similar to with Vic, there are incentives to going out rural just due to the supply and demand. So if it was something where you were looking to experience that, there are financial incentives that do come from the New South Wales government as a result. However, if you want to stay close to the coast and you're keen to explore Sydney or potentially look at some of the sort of south coastal places like Wollongong, we can definitely assist with roles there also. So yeah, lots of opportunity there. We do have an office in the ACT as well. ACT being the Australian capital. Funny that it's also found inside New South Wales, so it's almost like a little Kinder egg there, that bit where Canberra is. We have an office there. We offer relief teaching and permanent opportunities there as well. Canberra is a couple of hours from Sydney, so not commutable, but if you were looking for, I suppose, a slightly rural experience that is still close predominantly to some major cities, heading down to the ACT and some of the surrounding areas, there's a nice little balance between, you know, being able to live somewhere a bit quieter, but being able to get to one of the major cities within, you know, an hour or so drive.
And the primary schools there are just implementing inquiry learning. So they're expressing, the state of Victoria are sort of starting to express quite a bit of interest in New Zealand educators for our expertise in that area. So there'll be lots of good opportunities there as well. WA, so we've got a team in Perth, a little similar to Brisbane in regards that ECE, we can support you with everything, but if you're primary, secondary or special needs, then it's permanent work in that area only. And we also do obviously Metro Perth as well as regional areas sort of surrounding Perth mainly. Great team there, really fun office. Quite a different experience heading over there. If you're ECE, it would be something nice to do. South Australia is new for us. The Adelaide office is just up and running, and initially it will be the same as Perth and Brisbane. So as you can see, the demand for ECE is really strong everywhere, and you guys have got opportunities for that relief teaching wherever you go, and then we can look for permanent positions for primary, secondary, SEN as well. And we'll be doing a bit of a focus. We've got leadership and executive roles we'll be looking at in that area as well. Work options. Pass it to you, Laura.
Cool. So yeah, for Victoria, as I mentioned before, we have CRT opportunities. We can, at the moment, it is very busy, so we can guarantee full-time work. So that's Monday to Friday, and we in Victoria we pay based on experience, so we have different pay rates. The basic rate is $380 and the highest rate is $448, whereas in New South Wales is $390 provisional and $450 for proficient. We have for fully qualified ECT 317. And as I mentioned before, we can guarantee work, just because it's very busy and we need you guys here. We have an app that is very easy to use for you guys to set up your availability. So if you don't want to work those 5 days, you can say, oh, actually, I'm going to set up my availability here and I'm going to work this week 3 days. That's totally fine as well. What's happening at the moment is that many of international educators are coming and working as CRTs for a while, and then they get ongoing roles in those same schools that they were doing CRTs. So they get that opportunity to go explore those settings and then say oh, I feel like this is for me. I like this school, and then they get an ongoing role there, which is very good. And yeah, I don't know. Am I missing something there?
No, I think that's spot on. I just wanted to, I suppose, just reiterate that we, as well as the supply and the day-to-day this time of the year especially, there's an absolute handful of contract and permanent roles to sort of suit your preferences as well. So, and don't be, I suppose, thrown off by the term permanent. We probably should change that to sort of ongoing. So it's roles that are, look, the schools are looking for a teacher to come in and work on an ongoing basis, but it's, 4 weeks notice period is what all schools in New South Wales ask for. So if you aren't enjoying that particular role, we would obviously always look to find you somewhere we think would be a perfect fit. But I think permanent always makes people think, it's not permanent. They're full-time ongoing positions. And the contract roles are anything from 1 term to 2 term to 3 term contracts. We really can, I suppose, put it to you exactly what you're looking for around that kind of, because we know a lot of people come over for a lifestyle opportunity as well. So if you do want to do a contract to allow you to then travel for a little bit longer in the year, we can certainly hone that to exactly what you're looking for.
Great, because if you're on a working holiday visa, there can be some restrictions that come with that, depending on which working holiday visa you've got. So sometimes you're not allowed to work more than 6-month blocks. So that's really good. I didn't know it was a 4-week notice period.
In New South Wales, it's 4 weeks throughout the year.
And Sid, can you just talk through the process of how you find a permanent job from here?
Absolutely. So I suppose there's 2 ways of doing it, in terms of we have assisted educators in receiving a permanent opportunity and even signing a contract and having a role ready to go before they've even got on a plane or booked a flight. A lot of people want that reassurance before coming over that they have a role ready for them when they want to land. So with that being the case, we would set up a similar thing to this in terms of a Zoom, chat with you around exactly what you're looking for, and then correlate that with the roles that we have and try and find the school that would be the best fit for you in terms of the role itself, but the school ethos. And I suppose we can do that due to the relationships we have with these schools. Having worked in the New South Wales space for the last 11 years, we know a lot of what the schools are about and how they run and their ethos is, and can align that to, I suppose, what you're looking for from your next opportunity. With that being said, if it's a case of you want to come over and experience these schools beforehand, we can look to do that as well. So if it was a case of you want to come over and see the school in person, what we would recommend is, I suppose, getting yourself set up. We can potentially set up a couple of casual days for you to go and have a look at the school and meet the interview panel in person. So it's really, I suppose, we can align it to exactly how you want that process to go, whether you want that role ready for when you arrive, or if you want to come and see the school in person, then we can look to get that interview set up after a couple of weeks of you being here. As we said before, you don't need your NESA sorted to apply and interview for roles. So whatever works best for you guys.
And you'll find it's a really good process. You're not having to apply for each individual role yourself, so there's no big application forms and things like that. The perm team is amazing, and they do all of that for you on your behalf. And because, as Sid said, they've had the relationships with the schools, if they're putting an educator forward for a role, the schools will really have a good look. And it's a nice process to go through, and you'll really enjoy working with it. All of the perm team are amazing, as are our schools temp team too. Just pop this one up. Oh, we've sort of covered a bit of this, Sid, but some of our roles, these are actually Victorian ones, but as Sid mentioned, I'll just let you take over, Sid.
Yeah, look, I suppose we have this hot job page that we put up for a number of these when we're doing these presentations throughout the year, and I suppose they're probably more pertinent at times when there aren't as many roles. I would say that every job's a hot job at the moment, especially in terms of we're getting towards the pointy end of term 4. So schools are really looking to finalize a lot of their recruitment. So I can only speak for New South Wales, but we're working on hundreds of roles still, both in Sydney, Greater Sydney, and the regional space as well. So please do reach out if you are looking to move over imminently. because I can let you know the type of roles we're working on, and I'm sure we'll be able to find one that aligns to what you're looking for and the subject that you teach.
There are relocation bonuses, as Laura and Sid have both mentioned. Some of them are government incentives. So the Victorian government have incentives sort of wrapped up with some of the harder to staff schools or the regional schools. And as Sid said, also New South Wales regional roles, a lot of them will have some relocation incentives attached to them as well. We also offer a bonus around what we call an ambassador scheme. So that's that 5-day guarantee. Some of our educators would prefer to get over there and have a look around, or maybe you've been teaching for 5 years and you just want to take a bit of a break and go and do some relieving. If you're worried about how much work you're going to get, or if you can pay your rent, it's just a backup plan for you, knowing that you've got an ambassador agreement in place as us guaranteeing you that you will be paid for 5 days a week regardless. So if you sign up for one of those before you leave, then you're eligible for a $600 bonus after you've worked. It's pretty much a term. And that's up to that's the cost of your flights over there. So it just makes it a little bit easier for you. Work options. So I did ask, but would you mind popping in the chat whether we've got primary, secondary, early childhood special needs, what kind of teacher you are, just so we can see that. And also, can we just go back a bit? Can you also pop up there where you're sort of maybe leaning towards, if you have got a preference? I know we've got Megan on there who's definitely going to Melbourne, but maybe you've got family in a certain area or a state. Some of you might be completely open, and you can leave it open if you don't know where you want to go, but you want a permanent role, then we can sort of have all of the teams working on you.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people, Claire, put in the chat around sort of tips for location in terms of Australia. And look, what I would recommend is reaching out to myself or Laura after, and I'm happy to put my details in the chat, and we can work out exactly, because Australia being such a broad and amazing place, there's so many differences around so many different areas. We would like to sort of drill down into what it is you're exactly looking for, and I'm sure we can find the place for you in that regard.
You cover so all the different types of roles. We've kind of touched on a bit of this really anyway, but actually secondary for us is a little different, because our secondary starts at year 9 and we go to year 13. But everything else, ECE, it's a minefield, ECE, isn't it? There's so many different roles and quals and all sorts of things you can do. So we passed you over to the ECE. I passed you over to ECE quite early in the piece because they're the experts and they're on the ground over there. But it depends on what your qualification comes out as what you can do. But yeah, we work with all different schools. It's mainly, as perm team said, mainly independent faith-based schools.
So in Sydney, mainly independent. We work with faith independent schools as well. The temp team in New South Wales work with department and state schools for sort of short-term contracts and day-to-day casual work. But on the perm team, it is independent and Catholic independent schools across Sydney.
Yeah,
pretty much the same.
Victoria, we work with government schools, independent schools, community schools as well for CRT, and for permanent or ongoing opportunities. We work with mostly independent and Catholic schools.
Let's ask what SEN schools are. So that's special education needs schools. And Australia seem to have a lot more funding over there. So a lot more environments that cater for the special education needs sector. And that's in cities and regional too. Is that right, Sid? I know we get a lot in Melbourne.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah. So if you don't have to have experience to work in those schools either, and there's a huge need. So if you're interested, then chat to us about it, and we'll have schools. Some of the schools prefer to have educators who don't have experience, so they can train you up in the way that they like to do things. And if you're traveling with anyone else, we also do every other aspect of roles within a school. So groundskeepers, admin, and we also do after school care roles. We've placed DPs as well, deputy principals over there from New Zealand, have gone straight into roles. So we do senior leadership also. Laura.
Yep. So yeah, I think we mentioned this before as well, but we are very big on like social and community. So you guys probably see like our Instagram pages, Facebook pages, where we post a lot of like resources, information, but also events. As I mentioned before, we have in Melbourne, we have one event for international educators coming over every term. So we have one coming in like 2 weeks for internationals, and that's going to be a boat party, which it's like so many people already registered, and it's going to be a big one, but they are always fun. Like you get to meet people that have traveled as well. So yeah, we're very big on that aspect as well.
Got a Facebook group. I'll send you a follow-up email tomorrow with all of the details, but I'll make sure I put a link in. It's a really active Facebook group. It's run by the educators really, so lots of questions about registration questions, accommodation, things like that. Meetups, people are asking if anyone's up for a coffee and things like that, so really good to be on that.
Beautiful. So in terms of finding somewhere to live, again, I can only talk from a Sydney point of view. It is, I'll be honest, in certain parts of Sydney at the moment, it is very competitive in terms of finding accommodation. The well heralded places like your Bondis, your Coogis, your Manleys, the areas that are quite close to the beach, like with many of those locations, they are highly sought after. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to find somewhere. They're just very, very competitive. So you just got to be very quick off the mark, and you may be paying a bit of a premium the closer to those type of areas that you want to live. Now, what I found from moving to Sydney from the UK is that things are a lot closer than you think they are. So in terms of where I'm based in Sydney now I'm in an area called the Inner West, which is a fantastic spot, great transport links, good pubs, good restaurants, good parks, but I'm still also only a 15-minute drive from the beach. So whilst you might not get that beachside property as easy as possible, you can live in areas where the rent does decrease a fair bit. But if you're still looking to get to the beach for that after school swim, jump in the car and you're only about 10 minutes away. So that would be my recommendation around renting. And just don't be perturbed by there being lots of people applying. It's just the nature of the beast in Sydney at the moment. But everyone I've known who's come over has been able to find accommodation. It's just, you just got to be quite quick at the moment is all. As it says there, ANZUK will act as a rental referee if you're on an ambassador contract and have a position as well. So yeah, we're happy to act as a guarantor. Couple of other bits to just cover off this page. We do have an area guide that we're the one in Sydney we're in the process of updating, but the copy we've got just goes through some of the sort of highly sought after areas and the reasons why people choose to live there. But if you want a little bit more in depth around certain areas of Sydney, please just do reach out, and either myself or one of my colleagues in the office here can talk you through the area that they live and why they think it's the best, and get you set up for where you're going to be based. In terms of getting around, I find it a really easy city to navigate. Coming over from London, it's quite. I find Sydney, the transport's fantastic. You can always get a seat on the trains even in rush hour. So when you're finishing work, being able to just sit down after a day of teaching is always useful. But the bike lanes are fantastic. If you're choosing to drive, the traffic's not too bad either. So it's a very easy city to navigate. And if you're looking to move a little bit further afield in New South Wales, obviously recommendation would be to get a car, but you're not going to be coming into much traffic out in these regional towns. You'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, the further out of the major cities, the recommendation would be to get a car for sure.
Laura, can you give us a spin from Melbourne side?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to Sydney. I would like, just one thing would be living close to public transport. That's always easy just to get around. But public transport is great here as well. And we really, because as I mentioned before, we work with so many schools that we definitely can take into consideration where you're living, so you don't have to travel much to go to schools. In terms of renting, very similar to Sydney. Is very competitive at the moment, but like a lot of like all people that get here, they get places to live, even if they want to rent a flat. So yeah, that's easy. We can act as a referee as well here. So same there. And yeah, you don't really need a car in Melbourne if you're living close to a station or like a tram stop. That's very easy to get around.
But hard for us Kiwis to imagine relying on public transport to get to your school. That's a bit of a foreign concept for us. So, but it is amazing. It's really, like Sid said, you jump on the tram. It's a train. It's a nice low stress way to commute. Okay, so where to from here? We have got some questions in the chat, so we'll cover all of those shortly, the ones that we haven't been able to. But I did notice someone had said where to from here. So these are the steps that we go through. So I know there's a couple of you on the call that I've already spoken to, but if you haven't spoken with me, I'll send out an email and book in a call, and we can have get to know you a bit more, find out where you're looking to go, how we can help you, and then I actually pass you over quite early in your journey to the Australian team, so your relevant consultant. If you're wanting to do relief teaching in Melbourne, then you could be speaking with Laura. If you're wanting a permanent role in New South Wales, then you could be passed over to Sid. So you'll be starting to have those early conversations with the team in your journey. We start the compliance. The registration with the state ticks off most of what we need, but we also need to contact referees, and we'd be looking to contact 2 referees from your last 2 years teaching. And then if you're wanting a permanent role, the perm team will be working with you. If you've found a position that you're happy with, then you're actually passed on to the school, so you'll be liaising directly with the school to support you and tee up your first days and things like that. If you're doing relieving, then the temp teams will be making sure that you're set up on our app, ready to go. And the whole idea is that there's nothing to do once you arrive except go on and meet the teams and hit the ground running really and start working and earning some money. We didn't really talk about the pay for permanent work. Generally, you're being paid about 30% higher than you are here in New Zealand. New grads start over there on about 77,500, and then up from there. So pay rates, I should have said that at the start, for Australia is a big driving factor. So
New South Wales, just quickly, Claire, New South Wales have just signed off on all the department schools have signed off on a 7% pay rise from next year, so it's going to go up even more. All the independent schools are about 80 to 90% of the independent schools are looking to match that in New South Wales as well. So the pay is just about to go up again also. So it's very
7%.
It's good. It's very, very good. I was amazed moving over from the UK to hear quite how well teachers are paid, and quite rightly, but it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. And also you get that 11% on top of your salary which is paid from the government or from us if you're doing relieving. On top with your superannuation, whereas here we have to pay 3% out of our earnings and the government put 3% on. So It's much better. So reasons why have us to support you. Our blog is, as I said, it's a brilliant resource. You can chuck anything in the chat and it will bring something up for you. So if you're not sure about something or you're looking for resources or into a certain area, just search it on the blog. We've got a learning management system, which is our online sort of professional development site, a hub, and you'll be added onto that. Our Facebook group's amazing, and as you saw earlier, we've got a really great full detailed info pack that we send out to you. We have all the events and support that we can sort of follow you on your journey as you travel, and then local opportunities as well. And I should have mentioned earlier, we also have EP Education, which is the New Zealand arm of our company, and they find work, they will do relief teaching in Auckland and Wellington, and they find permanent roles right across New Zealand. So if you are overseas and you're looking to come into New Zealand, we can support you there, or if you've just finished your studies and you're not looking to Australia until April, you know, we can keep you busy with relief teaching here in New Zealand as well. Okay, so we'll jump into questions. As I said, I am going to send up a follow-up email. I'll put Sid and Laura's details in there as well. But if you want to book a call with me, if you want to sort of get the ball rolling now, you can just use the QR code and that'll bring up my link for a call. But we'll just sort of just scroll back and just hook into these questions, and we'll try and get this all wrapped up by within the hour for you. Is there any questions on there you guys have seen that you want to look into?
Yeah, I just had a look at the one from Taylor
Yep.
around the Queensland teacher salary table. I believe that that is correct, Taylor, in terms of your you go up a band after each year of your teaching. So if you've been teaching for 5 years, it would be that 3.1. What I'll do is I'll pass your if you're set on Queensland, I'll pass your details over to the team there, who can talk through that in a bit more detail. But that's my I think what you've said there is correct in that regard.
Amy, you've asked if there's schools that would sponsor teachers. That does come up, but not very often. You don't have much choice, and it's quite rare for it to happen. I think you've asked that because you are having to go on a working holiday visa and would prefer to have a permanent role. We do have educators who will start on their working holiday, and then you've got a better chance of potentially being sponsored after that. Have you had anyone doing that, Sid, from New South Wales? Or?
Yeah, for sure. I suppose with sponsoring, it's very supply and demand orientated. So it will be those really hard to fill subjects that tend to lead to the greatest chance of being sponsored. So example being a physics teacher, for example, or a senior mathematics teacher, or we've got a real shortage in New South Wales of technology teachers, so especially around those sort of industrial subjects, so they're subjects as well. So any subject where there is a real shortage is when there's a higher chance of receiving that sponsorship.
You will get a recording of this Zoom. And we do support teachers from South Africa. In fact, we are exploring opening an office there, particularly New South Wales. How many you've got? They
Loads.
over.
Yeah.
We had a visit to South Africa this year.
Yeah. We've had close to 100 come over in the last 18 months from South Africa, which has been great.
Most of our South African educators are coming in on a visa type 189 or a 190. That's the route that you need to look at for your entry into Australia. It does take quite a while. I think they can take 6 to 9 months, those visas. So it does take a bit of planning. Yeah.
Chelsea's asked, in terms of qualifying for the working holiday visa coming from the US, I think if you are, I think if you are 31, I know this being the case from UK to Australia is if you are 31 and apply, then you can still come over as long as you apply before the end of your 31st birthday. I know that to be the case. Other than that, I think the other option does tend to just be down that sponsorship route if older than that. But I remember that being the case, Claire, for those heading over to, say, the UK as well. If they applied before their 31st birthday, they could then stay past that time period. So I'm fairly sure that's
Could be.
fairly sure that's similar.
Or otherwise, Chelsea, there are some skilled, the limit's 30 coming from the US. Yeah, you would have to look into a skilled working visa. If you send me an email after this, I'll send you our visa links and guide, and it's got a recording of a visa webinar that we've done and a starting point for you to see what's out there for you.
Pippa's asked around the tax file number for pay if we're unable to sort accommodation with a fixed address. I know when I first came over on a working holiday in 2017, I didn't have a fixed address, but I was able to give, if you're able to give an address, whether you are staying in temporary accommodation for a while, or even, I know you could potentially use ANZ UK's address here. I'll speak to the temp guys here and see what they've given as a suggestion to people who have come over. But I remember using a temporary address and it was fine for the tax. All you need is for that tax file number to then be sent out, and then you can then change that as you go on from there.
And you can.
Sorry, I'm just going to unmute myself. I know from people that have gone over to Aussie, they've had problems with setting up tax file numbers because they don't have a permanent address, and then the tax file people say you need a bank account, but you can't set up a bank account that tax file number. Have you guys come across this?
Yeah, so what we do in Victoria is that we get educators to put the office address for the bank, for the tax, and for the VIT as well. So you get all your things here in the office.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Or I don't know whether it's different for New Zealand passport holders, but we can't apply for a tax number until we arrive. So we just get issued a temporary tax number when you arrive. And then if they put you on a tax rate, they guess, but if it's the wrong tax rate, you just get that sorted out once your tax number comes through. And the Commonwealth Bank, you can start setting up a bank account before you arrive. So you can do that, take a look at that. And then when it's easier to do it before you get there. So they've got and then when you get there, you just go and show your ID and pick up your EFTPOS card. Age limit, no. Schools like experience. So the only age limits will be around visas, potentially if you need a certain visa. And schools doing packages of flights and accommodation. If on the working visa, do we need to do farming work? So that's Irish. I know with the trade agreement, the UK don't have to do farm work anymore, do they, Sid?
No, but I think if you're coming from the Republic of Ireland, you still do presently.
Yeah, no, they've just got rid of it for England, unfortunately, but not for. And so schools don't offer the flights accommodation, but the government or the diocese will sometimes, but it's not a package. It's sort of like you pay for your flights and claim it as an expense.
Yeah.
And some schools do have accommodation, but that would be for sort of permanent roles and often maybe like a regional boarding school or something. We've had the odd one come through like that. And Chanel, maths and physics from Fiji. We could try for sponsorship with your subject areas. So just book in a call with me and we can see at certain times. I know Victoria will open up sponsorship roles and things like that.
Yeah, I would say, Pippa, in terms of permanent opportunities, at start of the year is always the best in terms of for that term one. Most schools are doing their recruitment now for the start of the academic year. However, with that being said, term 3, so about halfway through the academic year is it's probably the second biggest and busiest time that schools look to recruit as well. So term 3 starts around that sort of end of June, start of July period. So recommendation would be for the start of Jan, definitely, but then second best option would be that kind of middle of the year.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the term 3 works for me because I'm going back to the UK for a bit. Yeah. And then when I come back, I'd be looking at a permanent ECE job to start my registration.
That's fine. We can we can sort that out as and when, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No worries.
We will keep in communication with you from here. You can look out for that email from me tomorrow. And yeah, any further questions, just let me know. And thanks so much for tuning in.